Okay, welcome to DP Animations. And today we are going to be handling the green screen golden transition opening that I posted a while ago. So let's open After Effects. Let's create a new composition, 1920 by 1080. Let's name it Star. Okay. Now let's go to the Tools menu and select Star 2. Then let's draw a star. All right. Now inside the star, let's come to the poly star. Then where it says transform poly star 1, let's scale it down so that it will be as small as. So let me see. I think this is enough. All right. Now let's come to add beside the contents and select repeater. Okay. Under repeater 1, let's under copies, let's give it something like 17 copies. Okay. Then let's open the transform repeater 1. Then where it says position, let's give it 0. Then rotation, let's give it something like 21. Okay, so we have something like this. Okay, I think the star is too big, so let's come to the transform polystar, then scale it down more. So this is enough. All right. Now let's create an animation on it. Let's come to the offsets. Okay, then let's set a key at the beginning. Then let's come to something like the 15 seconds 18. Let me see 18. Okay, but I think the speed is too slow, so let me go something like 22 and see. So this is enough. All right, so let me change the color to white, the color of the stroke to white. Okay, so this will be our star 1. All right. Okay, so once you are done with your star composition, your first star composition, select it, then duplicate it. Okay, now double click on star 2 to open it, then click on the cascading arrow beside it. Then inside here you have the rotation from 0 to what? 22. Okay, so let's do changes here. Let's change it from 22 to something like 40 for the rotation. This is for star 2. Okay, then the copies, let's go something like 34. Okay, so 34. Then come to rotation where it says here 21. Let's change it to something like 20. So we have something like this. Okay, this is for star 2. Now when it's rotating and it reaches the 4 seconds, let's set a key there on the anchor point, position, then scale. All right, so these 3 transform repeater 1 animation. Okay, now let's move it the timeline to the last end or so. Then on the anchor point, let's go something like 85, 285. Let me type 285 there. Okay, then on position, let me go something like minus 68 and see. Oh, everything disappears. Okay, let me leave it for now, minus 68. Then on scale, let's go 141. Okay, now let's see first. Okay, voila. I think this is okay. Okay, you see, I think this is okay. So with that done, let's minimize our work here. Okay, so now we have our star 1 and star 2. Okay, now you can decide to use the star 2 for the entire animation if you want. Okay, now let's create another composition, 1920 by 1080. Then let's name it transition 1. Okay, Now inside transition 1, this is what you are going to do. Let me reduce the transition 1 duration to something like 6 seconds, 0.6, then 0.0, and click OK. All right. So this is what you are going to do. Let's right click inside transition 1 to create a new solid layer. Okay. With a width of 1300, then the height, let me go up a bit more. Let me go something like 1500. Okay, then click OK. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this solid layer as a base to do my measurements. Okay, so with this solid layer in, let me go to the menu bar, view, then select show rulers. So I'll pick a ruler here to mark the middle, then pick one here to mark up there. Okay, then pick one to mark the last end here, then one to mark this side too. Okay, then maybe one to mark here, then the other to mark here too. Okay, now you can delete your solid layer. So you have something like this. All right, now let me bring a ruler to mark the middle of this. Okay, so somewhere here is okay. Then the middle of this. All right, okay. So now let's go for the pen tool. Then I'll set a key on this one here, then the last end here, then come and set it here too. Now with that done, let's come here. Okay, let me bring this one down here. So come here where it says, let's open, click on the cascading arrow, then come to content. Okay, now shape. All right, now under stroke, let's change from mid joint to round joint so that we have round curve at the tip there. Okay, this is enough. All right, so now I think we should do this here. You see that there's a bit of cut here. If you happen to have a situation like that when doing yours, you don't have to worry. Just move the key point out a bit. Just move it out a bit. Then this one too. There's a bit of curve there. So just come to the pen tool and select vertex test 2. Then click there to take that off. Now go and select the selection tool. Then move this one to out a bit. Okay. Move it also out a bit. So this is enough. All right. Okay. Now hit P on the transform position. Move the shape to your left side for it to disappear. Okay. So we are moving it for it to disappear. Okay. Now you can set a key here. Move the timeline to something like 4 frames. Then you move it backwards again to the right side for it to disappear again. So we are using position animation on the shape layer. Okay. So now let's see what we have. Too slow. So let's move it the key point closer. All right, so this is enough. Now select the 2 keys, then easy ease them. Okay. Now go to the graph editor, click on the last end, then move a bit in, something like this. Okay. So this is okay. So what we have here is okay. Okay. Now let's bring our materials or assets to be used. I have some images here. Let me just load them in. Okay. So now I think the gold image, let me see. Here's it. Okay. So I'll bring this image down, which is the gold image, then scale it up. Or just right click on it, come to transform, then select fit to comb. All right. So that it will fit it perfectly. So here is the thing. With the gold material laid under, come to the track mat, then select alpha mat shape 1. So you have something like this. You see that? So this is for the first transition. Okay. So with this, the next thing to do is this. Let me take the background off, then make it transparent. Now right click on the image, which is the gold transition. Then come to layer style and select drop shadow. Okay, we need a bit of shadow under the shape layer. Okay, so now the size, let's increase it a bit. Then I think position, let me go the other way. Now let me reduce it to something like 50. So I think this is okay. All right, let's create the picture transitions. Okay, now let's create another composition. Let's name it picture 1, picture 1, picture 1. Now let me drag an image in. Let me scale it a bit. I think this is enough. So let's duplicate picture 1, Control D, something like 3 times or so. Let me make it 4. Now let me open picture 2, picture 3, then picture 4. So inside picture 2, let me replace the image there to here. Let me see. So let me position this a particular image. So I have this. Let me come to picture 3. Let me see. Okay, this one. And bring this one to in. Let me scale it down and position it well. Okay, picture 4. Picture 4. Okay, I have one here too. Let me scale this one down. So now that you are done with your picture placements, let me close them. Now let me come to the transition 1 again. All right. Now let's select the 2 layers, which is the shape layer 1, then the golden background, then duplicate them. Okay. Then bring one down. Then select the duplicated one and bring it down. Okay. Then what we do is we will drag this one in a bit, something like 2 frames, so that whilst this one comes in, or let me go something like 4 frames, so that whilst this one comes in, it will take a while before the other one comes in. So let me see 3 frames. So let's see, it will come like this. You see that? So like this, then this one too follows. Okay. Now the last one, which is going to be our image that we are going to lay under. So let's duplicate the top shape layer, Control D, then bring that one down, then on it. Okay, you on it, then move it in the middle here, a bit in the middle here. Okay, then this is what you are going to do. Let me take the transparency off. You see that it's hidden in the middle here. I think I should bring this one back a bit, which is the last end there, so that, let me see. So the shape that we duplicated, just increase the stroke a bit more. Okay, increase the stroke so that it will fill up the middle there. Okay, let me move it a bit. You see? Now it has filled the middle well. So we are done with that. So for the first one, so let me use this particular image. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I will format the picture into the shape layer. So I'll come here, none, then select alpha matte. Okay. So by selecting the alpha matte, the picture is marked onto the alpha matte. Okay. Think, let me reduce the stroke of the shape layer a bit. I think there was a bit of shape there. Okay. So this is enough. So let's see what we have. You see that? There's a bit of problem here. The last end there, because we did not move the animation in more, so it's hanging here. So let's move the shape layer in a bit more again. Let me see what we have here. Okay, so this is okay. Okay. So I think we are done with the first one. And if you want to add animation to the image, you can still do. You just have to come here, then set a key at the beginning, then somewhere here, then you'll be scaling them up. Okay. Hit Shift P. Then let me see. Let me set a key on the position too. So here, you can set it up and be moving it like this. To that one will also work. So when you come to the transition, whilst it's moving, there's a movement within the pictures too. See that? Okay. So that's it for transition 1. Let's duplicate transition 1 to have transition 2. All right. Now let's open transition 2. Let's open transition 2, then do some changes here. Okay. So let me see here. So you see where the first shape layer is. This is a bit tricky though. Let me take the shape layers off. Let me take this one to off. Okay. Then let me change this ones to none and none. Okay. Okay. Now let me hide this one. Left so that it will be left with this stroke alone. Okay. So what we are going to do here is this. That's why I left the markers on. You see that I set the stroke from here to hit the last end there. So the next one, it will go to the left side. It will go this way. So I'll set the stroke from here to hit this particular side, this last end here. Okay. So not to waste time, this is what we're going to do. Just double click on it, the stroke. Okay. Then select the middle one, then move it to hit this particular line. All right. Then move this to here. First, let's leave it here first. So here, you see that? Then you move it out a bit. Then move this one to out a bit. So you have something like this. Okay. Now, the animation is going this way, but let's reverse it. Let's hit P. Let me just clear everything. Okay. Let me just clear everything. So let me move the timeline to the beginning and set a beginning key. Then come to something like 20 frames, 4 frames or so. Then move the stroke in. Okay. Now let me see. Okay, this one will come from this side. All right. So select the 2 keys, then come to keyframe assistance. Easy ease. All right. Now come to the graph editor. Then move the last end in a bit, so that the movement will be a bit smoother. It comes in a bit fast and smooth, then ends slowly a bit. Okay, so this is okay. So once you are done with this, all that you have to do is this: just duplicate the shape layer. Okay, then the second one, bring it under this one and align it to the image underneath it. Okay, so let me bring these images out. So the golden image, let's change it to alpha matte. That's for the top one. Let's alpha matte it. Then the bottom one too, let's alpha matte it. Okay, so all that is left is the picture one. All right, so let's duplicate this one too. Then let's alpha matte this one. So let's select it and drag it backwards a bit so it will be in the middle somewhere here. Then select the stroke, then increase the size of the stroke. I think this is okay also. So this is okay. So you have something like this. Okay. So the next one will be, let's replace the image here, the picture image here. So let's come to something like picture 2. Then hold the Alt key, then click and drag to replace it. Okay. So we have something like this. Okay. That's all. So we are done with the transition, the 2 transitions. Now what is left is the test transitions, the one that will bring the test. Okay. Let's duplicate transition 1. Then rename it transition test, or let me make it transition test 1. Okay, now let's open it up. So when this one animates, then it will bring the test. Okay, now let's create a composition for the test separately. So let's create a new composition and name it test 1. Okay, now let me type there road trip or something like that. Let me type something like road, then enter, then trip. Let me see. So this is okay. Let me make it white. Let me make it white. Okay. So this is okay. All right. So road trip. Now let's duplicate test 1. To have test 2, then open test 2, then test 2. Let's type something like the games. Okay. All right. So now let's come to we have here transition 2. Let's duplicate transition 2 too. All right. Then rename it transition test 2. Transition test 2. Okay. So let's open transition test 2 too. All right. So what you are going to do is on transition test 1, inside transition test 1, where the picture 1 is, we will place it with text 1. You hold the Alt key, then click text 1 and replace it. Okay, so you have something like this, road trip. You see that? Now we come to transition test 2. Then replace where the picture 2 is with test 2. The test 2 come. So you have something like this, the games. You see? All right. I think we are almost done with the materials to be used. Now let's create a last transition, which is going to be a white transition. I don't want us to be creating all those when arranging them. So rather, let's create them separate, then arrange them. Okay. So now let's create a new composition. Let's name it white wipe. White wipe. Okay, now let's create a shape layer. Let's move it up a bit, the composition up a bit. Let's go for the pen tool. Then this is what we're going to do. We are just going to randomly create a shape, an arrow shape down here at the bottom here. So click here, then the middle here, then here. Okay, then let's reduce the size of the stroke. So this is okay. Okay, this is okay. Now inside it, click on the cascading arrow, then come to content, shape, then stroke. Let's select the round joint. Okay, so this is okay. All right, let me drag this in a bit, then this one to in a bit. Okay, so with this, let's open it, then come to add, then select repeater. Okay, now inside repeater, click on the repeater. Okay, then come to the copies 3 is okay. Then come to transform repeater. Then position, let's go 0. The position, let's go 0. Then on Y, let's go something like, let me see. On Y, let's go something like, let me see, something like 1,000. Okay. Now let's do the animation here. On offsets, +1. Then set a key. Then move the timeline forward. Then go something like, let me go -4 rather, so everything will disappear. So let's see. Okay, so let me drag it in so that it will be a bit fast. All right, so now select the 2 keyframes, then easy ease them. Okay, this is okay. Let me open it up a bit more. All right, so the last one, which is the logo that we are going to use here. Okay, now make sure your logo is a perfect square. Okay, we see that my logo here is a perfect square. When I drag it here, it creates that exact box, which is something like 4,500. Okay, 4,500, 4,500. Okay, it's exact perfect square. So make sure yours is like that, so that once it's in here, just double click on the ellipse tool. Where is the ellipse tool? Okay, just double click on it to cut that perfect circle. All right. Okay, so we are done. So guys, this is the end of part 1. Please stay with me for the second part. All right.